How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about Mississippi's abortion law being blocked, at least temporarily, by a federal judge by the name of Carlton Reeves. I'll place his picture on the screen before you and more information about him in the box below. But before we even get into it, let's back up a little bit here to explain what this law is, what it means, what are we going to do going forward, and so on. The law in Mississippi is the equivalent or near equivalent to the one in Georgia, the heartbeat bill. Basically, when a fetal heartbeat is detected, I think right around 6 to 8 weeks, abortion is no longer an option. It doesn't matter rape, incest. I think the only exception is life of the mother. If the mother is going to die or become severely injured to the point of irreparability, abortion may be an option. But aside from that, you got to have a baby. Now, the judge blocked it because he's saying a lot of women don't know they're pregnant at that particular point in time, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever the case may be. Therefore, it just is basically outlawing abortion altogether. He didn't say that specifically, but he did say women don't necessarily always know at that particular point in time when abortion has been banned. Now, am I surprised that this happened? Not at all. I actually expected it to happen. I did not think that these states, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, will be able to pass their particular laws and just have that be that. Not being challenged, not being any kind of court cases. The ACLU and Planned Parenthood have sued Alabama over their basically total restriction of abortion. And I expect more lawsuits, more court cases, more basically litigiousness, if you will, to follow all these laws, because people are trying to fight for the right to kill babies. It's very simple. Now, it's going to go to the Supreme Court, which is why I'm so glad we have Trump in there, because he's been able to appoint conservative Supreme Court justices. You got Neil Gorsuch, Brett Kavanaugh. You may have 1 or 2 or 3 more. See, right now we have about a 5-4 conservative liberal split in the court. It may be kind of tricky to overturn Roe v. Wade, because that's what it's going to boil down to, really. It's going to go down to Roe v. Wade, and they're going to say, okay, here's a decision, which is a quote unquote law of the land. Although I'm not really sure if a court case decision is a law of the land, but I digress. People are going to refer to Roe v. Wade as the precedent. What we got to do right now is have that no longer be the case, which I think that we may be able to have some success, even with the swing votes that may be in the Supreme Court. Okay. The Chief Justice may not necessarily be on the side of repealing Roe v. Wade, but Roe v. Wade, if you look at it, has to be changed, because they're saying things like, viability and viability according to Roe. What does that really mean? There's new technology that will allow for a child to be born premature before when some may consider viability to actually be, and that child can have a normal and prosperous life. So viability has to be defined. Life has to be defined. Some are going to say it's at conception. Some are going to say, some random arbitrary time that makes no sense. People want to say, 20 weeks, 22 weeks. Okay, if it's 22 weeks, why not 21 weeks? If a baby ain't a baby until 22 weeks, what is it at 21 weeks? And what makes a difference? How about one day before the 22-week mark? The clear way to define life is at conception. When the baby's in the womb, conception, that's when it's there. Now, people are going to say, it's just a zygote, it's an embryo. You're just using different terms to express a particular stage of human evolution, or not human evolution, because I don't believe in that, but human development. Just like when the baby is born, you got an infant, a toddler, a little kid, a big kid, a teenager, or preteen first, then teenager, young adult, an older adult, middle-aged, senior citizen, and very old senior citizen, if that makes any sense. I'm not quite sure of the specific terms for each particular stage of human life, but an embryo, a fetus, that's just more of the same kind of terms you would use after a baby is born. Okay. If life does not begin at conception, then you got to make a clear determination of when it begins and why. You can't just say, oh, when it's viable or a random period of time, 22 weeks. You got to say something very specific. So like I said, I figured this would happen. I'm not surprised at all. We're going to go to the Supreme Court, and I think that Roe v. Wade is going to be overturned. Now, what is going to be the next thing in there? I think what will happen next is we get some kind of compromise. It says, okay, 12 weeks, 14 weeks or something like that. It'd be a compromise. If I were the supreme leader, if I could rule by fiat and just wave a magic wand and say, this is what it's going to be, I would ban all abortion, period. Except for like if the mother is dying on the table and it's like, if the baby is not aborted, the mom's going to die, you know? And even in some cases of life of the mother, the baby can still be born. You can have a C-section, emergency and have the baby that way, because abortion is a procedure where the baby is actually destroyed with an instrument. It's not like you can just go in there and just, rub something on the belly and then the baby disintegrates. It ain't like that. Or it just shrinks like it's a tumor. No, it's an actual human being in there and you have to destroy it. You got to take these, people talking about the coat hangers are going to come back. What you think they do in an abortion clinic? It ain't that far from a coat hanger for real, because they're taking basically like tongs that you would use to pick up ice cubes or something at your barbecue. They insert it into the woman and then they destroy the baby limb by limb. So if it's not a baby, then what are we really doing? As I close, I want to say this. Hopefully we overturn Roe v. Wade. Hopefully these judges aren't going to be successful. I anticipate more, like I said, litigiousness, more lawsuits against states that have passed anti-abortion laws. And hopefully we see some lawsuits going towards states that have passed very liberal abortion laws. You're talking about Virginia. They were trying to pass. They didn't pass it. They tabled it, which means they ain't gonna talk about it no more. They were trying to pass this law that says you can have an abortion at any point in time up until the point of birth for basically whatever the reason that you want. The two official reasons are life of the mother, number one, and number two, mental anguish. Okay. Like, what does that really mean? I'm feeling sad today. I don't have a baby. So 8.5 months gestation, I can do that. Some are going to say, oh, well, who's going to do that? That's my point. Like, if nobody's going to have an abortion at 8.5 months, why make it be a law that you can do that? Why do that? And then you got the blackface governor, allegedly, Ralph Northam, talking about when the baby is born, well, we can decide what we're going to do after that. So now you're talking about post-birth abortion. That's outright infanticide. It's that before the baby is born. But I think even the liberals would agree that when the baby is born, you can't kill it, So I'll leave that right there for now. What say you? Do you think that this judgment, this ruling is going to hold? The law was to go into effect in July of this year. I think the other laws, the one in Georgia and Alabama, may go into effect this year or next year. Are those other laws going to be blocked by federal judges? How about these lawsuits? Where are they really going to go? And what are you basing your lawsuit on? Roe v. Wade? I didn't know that was a law. Maybe I'm wrong about that. I didn't know that you can have a court case and have that be what the law is. I know, because you have three branches of government, right? You have the executive, judicial, legislative. Now, the judicial and legislative aren't necessarily like two peas in the pod. I mean, hey, I could be wrong because I'm just kind of going off of what makes sense to me. But what do you think? Will these blocks hold? Will the lawsuits be successful? Or will we actually get to the appropriate destination, which is to totally repeal and hopefully not replace Roe v. Wade? Whatever your comments are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.